everyone. Today I'm in my kitchen. I've got all my art supplies set up and I'm going to walk you through my process for practicing drawing faces. This is a little workshop, little drawing workshop, but we are going to practice 3 different exercises when it comes to drawing faces, basically with abandon, without rules and just seeing what comes out. The purpose is to loosen up, forget about perfection, and discover our own art style. And I hope you join me. I also wanted to mention, if you are new to my YouTube channel, I have a How to Draw Faces ebook that is hand-drawn by me, where I walk you through my process on how to practice drawing faces and eyes, nose, mouth, the whole thing. There's all sorts of different practices in this, practice sessions, but additionally, I also have a How to Draw Whimsical Faces. This is a digital download. I will leave a link in the comments section, but we are going to jump into the workshop right now. These are the art supplies that I'm going to be using. I have some little bits of paper torn up, just some plain glue. I grabbed a few pencils because I don't want to have too many art supplies. So I have a few pencils, some markers, acrylic ink, but you can have whatever you want. This is just a fun activity. You can use whatever you want. I like to use the Strathmore drawing paper, especially for whenever I'm teaching, because this is really nice, big paper. It holds up well to all sorts of different art materials like paper, glue, acrylic inks. Even though it's drawing paper, it holds up well. So I'm using the Strathmore 300 series drawing paper. You can see all the information there. But now I'm going to walk you through those 3 activities. So let's get started. Okay, so the first activity is I want us to rip up a bunch of papers. I have some old books, and you can just get old books. Somebody recommended music sheets, which I've always wanted to try, but I have not. But just old books that you can rip up some pieces of paper, and we're going to glue them on top of the page. This is part of the process of letting go and creating without a plan. We know we want to draw faces, but we don't want to be perfect. We want to loosen up, and it's really hard to do. So one of the best practices are these 3 activities. So the first one, I'm just getting some glue, and I'm going to glue this paper randomly, these pieces of paper, onto the page. I think sometimes the problem with drawing loosely is you have to be comfortable with the unknown. It's less of a strategy, right? You have to let go, and letting go is hard to do. So you kind of have to force yourself out of your comfort zone. And part of forcing yourself out of a comfort zone is to do some things that aren't measuring, isn't planning. You're forced to deal with what's on the page, and you have to see what comes out. So letting go and drawing loosely, it's never as easy as you might think it would be. So I'm just gonna keep going here. Now, one of the reasons I like this exercise is because it takes you out of that blank page where you're staring at a blank page and you have no idea what to draw. So the first reason to do this is to get rid of that whole fear of drawing on a blank page. The second part of it is that it takes you away from trying to I'm going to draw a face here, or I'm going to draw a face here. You've got some kind of unknown factors here. And what I like to do next with regards to this particular activity is do a little mark making. And that's why I grabbed a few pencils, just colored pencils. You can use markers, you could use anything. This is just, we're loosening up, we're getting out of our comfort zone, and we are playing with the unknown before we even start drawing faces. Sometimes if you try to draw a face right away without a nice warm-up activity, this could be a warm-up activity, or this could be your actual art. This one activity could be it makes beautiful art. I love it. Oh, that's not dry yet. Okay, so just play around. The other thing I'm going to do, you have to make a mess. The only way to get out of your comfort zone is to make a bit of a mess, and that's what I'm going to do. Normally I would have my paper flat, but it's hard to do art and draw faces and create with my iPad facing downward. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna let this do its thing and see what comes of it for a minute. Let it do its thing. But this is acrylic ink, but you could use paint. You could use any kind of paint. You could use watercolor paint. You could use whatever you want. Once I let it sort of drip, I can get myself a paintbrush if I want and just sort of, don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid like, oh, I'm gonna mess it up. Well, that's the whole point of this activity. The whole point of this activity is to indeed mess it up. This is a really fun starting point. So I kind of like these lines. I like the texture. I'm not staring at a blank page. And now I'm forced to, I got to draw a face. That's the next step. It really helps you figure out your own art style. Okay, and now that I've allowed this to dry, what I want to do is look here, like look within all these little elements and see if is there a face that I can pull out? And I actually see a couple of faces. Actually, I think I see 3, maybe more. And this is all about imagination, drawing loosely, letting go. This is not about perfection. This is not about drawing realism. This is an activity that helps you draw loosely and discover your own art style. Everyone's going to see something different, but I see a few faces that I don't want to let go of right now. I wonder if I should bring this in closer. Let me see. So you can kind of see what I see. There we go. Okay, I see a few faces, and I think there's side profiles here. And again, this is not about perfection, so my faces are going to look wonky and weird. But I see an eye right here with an eyebrow and a cheek. So I'm going to kind of pull that out a bit. I don't know if I want to draw everything. I don't see, do I see a whole face? I kind of saw a side profile, but this is going to turn into a whole face. And again, this is not, maybe this little notch in the paper is the nose. And maybe this part is the lips. You have to figure out for yourself as you're drawing, what is it that you can pull out? What is it that you see? And I just started with that one eye. Now it's interesting because a lot of times whenever I go places, if I look at a pattern floor, I will always see faces. Okay, that's the neck. I'm leaving that for now because I see another one here. I kind of just saw with this one, well, actually, I feel like this is an eye. This is going to be a weird face. This is going to be a weird one, and I just have to let go. And that's the whole point. You gotta, what do you see? And this is what I see in this page. And I'll draw some eyebrows here. And her chin is kind of coming out where their eyebrow is, but that's okay, right? Because this is what the whole purpose of this activity is you're going to loosen up and draw faces. I wonder if I see anything else. I kind of see something here. I see lips, I see nose. I'm putting the eyes in. I didn't see the eyes, so I'm just kind of putting them in. Now, once I start going, this really helps me loosen up. I kind of see her shoulder there, and I'm just gonna play around. You can kind of see that shoulder, and those are the faces. I actually see almost that's the ear, but I'm kind of seeing like a shoulder, even though I drew her ear. I actually see a face in the ear, right? And again, this is not about perfection. This is a quick workshop on letting go and seeing what you can pull out of a piece of paper when you add some sheets and some paint. Now, normally I wouldn't paint this whole thing, but I'm going to show you my process for how I would sort of color this in. And I have some different paint. I have burnt sienna, and I have this sort of unbleached titanium, and then I have some white. Just sort of playing with where this might be. I'm just going to use the same color for everything for the sake of time. The other thing you can do once you have your faces drawn, if there's things that you don't like, you can adjust. Like maybe I don't like her eye. If I want to adjust her eye, I can do that. I don't like her eye, it's too strong, so I'm going to just put this on top. This is the final art piece that I did with the collage, and just starting basically with putting paper on paper and then trying to pull out faces. And again, it's not about perfection. Whatever evolves when you're focusing on faces. And part of the process is discovering your own art style. And so that is my first exercise. I could have done this for the whole time. This was so much fun. I love the colors. So that's the first exercise, which is using pieces of paper on top of paper. It avoids staring at a blank page. You're pulling faces out that you see on the collage paper once you do a little mark making on top of it, and you will be amazed at what comes out. And maybe for you it isn't faces, maybe it's flowers, maybe it's something else, but it's a great opportunity to play with your line making, color mixing, and just allowing yourself to let go and see what's showing up on the paper based on what you put there. If you draw a face that you don't like, how can you dress it up to make it work for you so that you do like it? I don't think anyone should quit when they're drawing faces and they don't like the face that they're drawing. So let's say I'm going to just draw something really loosely. Okay, so I've got a bunch of faces. Let's say that this is not for me and I think, oh my gosh, what have I done? This is horrible. I'm a terrible at drawing and nobody's gonna like my art, which doesn't matter, by the way. How can I fix it? Well, there are a few different ways to fix it. Get some colored pencils or markers or whatever you want. And I said asemic writing, but you could do asemic writing or you could do just handwriting. If you don't know what to say, then you can just do like loopy marks, like your handwriting. Okay, this is almost like handwriting, but it's not handwriting. You're creating interesting elements in your art. And now I'm going to bring this together by drawing the purple writing on each lady, even though they're completely different. Okay? And so this is as though I'm writing something, and let's say I want to add a little pink. I don't know how this is doing. Okay, we can do like a little ischemic writing here too. Like we can make this whole thing into like, okay, so maybe your faces aren't the best, but you're adding some cool elements to your artwork. Okay, so practice doing that. You're gonna do that. Should we then draw like shade it in a bit? Just like shade it in a bit. The point is to loosen up. I'm not holding my pen tightly. I'm not doing anything like specific. I'm literally trying to let go with my artwork. So once you add like a little ischemic writing, or you can even do handwriting, which I've said. So let's draw some handwriting. And I like to do things like peace, joy, love, maybe harmony. I mean, you can write little messages to yourself or in your artwork. Maybe I'll draw like a little pink over her eye, maybe both eyes. You can really start playing. So bring these colors up here to sort of make it cohesive. And then you can add some paint or ink. So I'm gonna take my acrylic inks and see what I can do. I don't wanna do too much red because I'm really liking this pink and purple. And maybe I'll put a little pink on one of her cheeks. And I'll put pink on her other one. And there we go. The other thing you could do is just drop like paint or ink or whatever, wherever you want in your artwork. And you're taking something that maybe didn't work, adding bits of color to your sort of bad face, or adding like bits of writing can make all the difference. So I'm getting some ink to add some bits of color. And I'm trying to cover her face a little bit and making adjustments. I want to step back and look at my lady and see what I can do different. And, you know, where do I want to play? You can't be afraid to play. So now I'm just starting to really play. I started with my drawings. I didn't really, you know, maybe I didn't like them. I added a little ischemic writing to add points of interest. Little mark making, and maybe these ladies are angels. I always like, whenever I do groups of 3, I feel like they turn into like angels. Now that I've gotten this far, and I started with, you know, I'm going to draw, and if I don't like it, add the ischemic writing, and then I kind of built it up from there. Now that I'm like, oh, I feel like these are angels. I've got my gold sparkle glue. And it turns into something that you never considered in the first place, and maybe prettier than you imagined it would be, even if it's imperfect. It's not about perfection, and it's not about drawing exactly what you see. It's about allowing what's inside of you to come out onto the paper. I am in love with this one. Let's give you a close-up. I've made a mess here, but let's give you a close-up of what this looks like. And you can see all the sparkles and glitter on these ladies. And you could easily do paintings like this and give them as gifts. You can make cards, and you know, nobody expects perfection. It's like it's the purpose of that you're creating art from within yourself onto the paper. So when you give it as a gift, you're giving sort of a piece of yourself and whatever message it is that's coming out. The final activity is more of grabbing a pencil, maybe a watercolor, water-soluble pencil, and doing what I always teach when it comes to drawing faces, which is drawing, like hold that pencil loosely. Don't be too caught up in perfection, and draw a bunch of circles. This is like the best way to practice. And what I want you to do is just draw where you feel like the eyes and the nose and the mouth will be as a circle. We're not even going to draw the details because especially if you get sort of stressed out or anxiety with drawing faces, a few people have left comments about how they want to do it, but they get stressed out. This is great because you're not actually trying to draw the faces. You're just drawing like circles and ovals where you think the eyes, nose, and mouth is supposed to be. So this works well with a watercolor pencil. Okay, and maybe I'll just draw where I think the ears are supposed to be. I'm not focused on hair, but now you can get a sense, and this is great practice. You can actually just leave it like this. You don't even have to do anything. But what I'm going to do now is just add a little water on top of it. You're making a mess. Look at you. You know, maybe that's where the cheek goes, and draw in the neck. It's not about beautiful art. This is about becoming comfortable with drawing faces loosely and discovering your own style. I'm drawing where I think the cheeks are. Maybe her head needs to be up a little higher. I'm grabbing a little bit more water. And again, you could use a water-soluble pencil, but I use like a watercolor pencil, so you could see that that's really having an effect here. And look, I didn't draw any faces. I just drew an outline where I thought things were supposed to be. Maybe I'll draw the eyebrows. This might be one of my favorite exercises to practice drawing faces, because a lot of times you'll see like they talk about like understanding the shape of the head and the skull, and you know that the eyes are, you know, the eye sockets or what have you, and that's where you're going to put your eyes in. And then if you're trying to draw that, you get all tied up into that, and it's quite sort of scary because then you're right from the get-go, you're trying to draw a skull and fit everything in exactly the way it's supposed to be, and then it becomes just so stressful. Don't be afraid of what's going to show up on your paper. That's the whole purpose of this exercise. And so not every face is going to turn out the way you want it, but it is a super fun way to practice drawing faces. And I know if I color this in using all the strategies that I mentioned earlier, that these faces can really work out in my favor, even though they're completely imperfect. It's a super fun way to practice. This was a super fun, creative workshop on how to draw faces loosely and finding your own specific art style when it comes to drawing faces. If you gave this a try, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. I hope you all have a wonderful day and happy sketching.